There exists within every human being a force so powerful, so transformative, that when properly harnessed, it can literally reshape reality itself. This force doesn't require money, connections, or extraordinary talent. It doesn't discriminate based on your background, your past failures, or the circumstances of your birth. This force is belief, not the fleeting hope that whispers maybe, but the relentless, unwavering conviction that declares with absolute certainty, this will be. Yet most people live their entire lives never truly understanding what belief really is. They confuse it with wishful thinking, with positive affirmations mumbled half-heartedly in the mirror, with temporary bursts of enthusiasm that fade the moment reality delivers its first punch. True belief is none of these things. True belief is the steel backbone that keeps you standing when the world conspires to knock you down. It's the inner fire that burns brightest in the darkest moments. It's the unshakable foundation upon which every great achievement in human history has been built. Consider this. Every single thing you see around you, the device you're using, the building you're in, the very civilization that surrounds you, began as nothing more than a thought in someone's mind. But it wasn't just any thought. It was a thought backed by such relentless belief that the thinker refused to accept any reality other than the one they envisioned. Thomas Edison didn't just think about electric light. He believed with such fierce conviction that he failed over 1,000 times without questioning his ultimate success. Walt Disney didn't just dream of a mouse. He believed so powerfully in his vision that he mortgaged everything, faced bankruptcy, and endured ridicule from those who called him a fool. What separated these giants from the masses wasn't talent alone, wasn't luck, wasn't privilege. It was their capacity for relentless belief, the kind of belief that transforms the impossible into the inevitable. This is where most people fail. They believe conditionally. They believe until the first obstacle. They believe until someone tells them they can't. They believe until the evidence suggests otherwise. But conditional belief isn't belief at all. It's hope wearing a disguise. Real belief operates independently of evidence. Real belief creates its own evidence. Real belief looks at a mountain and doesn't see an obstacle. It sees a path waiting to be carved. The human mind, you see, is the most sophisticated goal-seeking mechanism ever created. But here's what most people don't understand. Your mind doesn't differentiate between what's real and what's vividly imagined with emotion and repetition. When you plant a seed of belief so deep in your consciousness that it becomes unquestionable truth, your mind begins to orchestrate reality to match that belief. It starts noticing opportunities that were always there but invisible to doubt. It begins attracting resources, people, and circumstances that align with your inner conviction. It transforms you into the person capable of achieving what you believe. But this transformation doesn't happen overnight, and it certainly doesn't happen without resistance. The world has a vested interest in your mediocrity. Society profits from your doubt. Every system around you is designed to keep you small, manageable, predictable. From the moment you're born, you're conditioned to believe in limitations, to accept what is rather than create what could be. You're taught to be realistic, practical, to keep your feet on the ground and your head out of the clouds. Here's what they don't tell you. Every breakthrough in human history was achieved by someone who refused to be realistic. The Wright brothers weren't being realistic when they believed humans could fly. Ford wasn't being realistic when he envisioned a car for every family. Kennedy wasn't being realistic when he declared America would put a man on the moon. They were being something far more powerful. They were being believers in the face of impossibility. Your beliefs shape your reality more than any external circumstance ever could. If you believe you're destined for greatness, you'll find ways to achieve it. If you believe you're meant to struggle, you'll find evidence to support that conviction. Your outer world is nothing more than a reflection of your inner world. Change the belief, and you change everything. But changing belief isn't about positive thinking or self-help mantras. It's about rewiring the fundamental programming of your mind. It's about replacing the limiting scripts you've inherited with empowering truths you consciously choose. It's about becoming so crystal clear on what you believe that doubt becomes impossible, that fear becomes irrelevant, that failure becomes nothing more than data pointing you toward your inevitable success. The process begins with a decision, not a wish, not a hope, but a decision carved in stone and sealed with blood. You must decide with such finality that your old self has no choice but to die, because there's no room for both versions of you to exist. The person who settles for less and the person who demands everything cannot coexist in the same mind. One must surrender to the other. Lincoln understood this when he decided to preserve the Union, regardless of the cost. His belief wasn't based on evidence. The evidence suggested failure, division, and defeat. His belief was based on a vision so compelling, so necessary, that he was willing to stake everything on its realization. He didn't believe because it was easy. He believed because it was essential. This is the test of true belief. Are you willing to stake everything on your vision when everyone else thinks you're crazy? Are you willing to persist when persistence seems pointless? Are you willing to maintain your conviction when the world offers you every reason to abandon it? Carnegie built his steel empire during times when others saw only economic uncertainty. His belief in America's industrial future wasn't based on current conditions. It was based on an unshakable conviction about what was possible. He didn't wait for permission from circumstances. He didn't wait for the perfect moment. He acted from belief, and his actions created the very conditions that made his belief true. This is how relentless belief works. It doesn't wait for evidence. It creates evidence. It doesn't respond to circumstances. It creates circumstances. It doesn't hope for opportunities. It manufactures opportunities. When you believe with such intensity that your vision becomes more real to you than your current reality, you begin to live from that future rather than from your past. Most people live backwards. They let their past dictate their future. They allow yesterday's failures to define tomorrow's possibilities. They mistake their history for their destiny. But belief operates from the future backward. It starts with the end result as an accomplished fact and works backward to create the path. It says, "Since this is inevitable, what must I become and what must I do to ensure its manifestation?" This shift in perspective changes everything. Instead of asking, "How can I achieve this?" you start asking, "Since I will achieve this, what's the most effective way to make it happen?" The first question comes from doubt. The second comes from certainty. The first seeks permission from circumstances. The second takes command of circumstances. When Henry Ford decided that every American family would own a car, the automobile was still a luxury item for the wealthy. His belief wasn't based on market research or consumer demand studies. It was based on an inner knowing so powerful that he reverse-engineered reality to match his vision. He created the assembly line not because it existed, but because his belief demanded its existence. He paid his workers unprecedented wages, not because it was standard practice, but because his vision required it. This is the power of belief in action. It doesn't accept the world as it is. It creates the world as it should be. It doesn't work within existing limitations. It obliterates limitations and establishes new rules. It doesn't ask for permission. It declares its intention and dares the universe to object. But here's where most people stumble. They try to build belief on top of doubt. They attempt to maintain their new vision while still entertaining their old limitations. This creates internal conflict, confusion, and ultimately, failure. You cannot serve two masters. You cannot believe in your greatness while simultaneously believing in your inadequacy. One belief must dominate completely. The path to relentless belief requires absolute commitment to a new identity. You must burn the bridges to who you used to be. You must make retreat impossible. You must commit so completely to your new vision that your only option is success or death. And since death is unacceptable, success becomes inevitable. This isn't about blind optimism or naive confidence. This is about strategic certainty based on universal principles that have governed success throughout human history. Every great achievement follows the same pattern. Vision backed by unwavering belief, sustained by relentless action, refined by intelligent persistence, and magnified by absolute commitment. Disney understood this when he mortgaged everything to build Disneyland. Banks called him foolish. Experts predicted failure. Logic suggested impossibility. but his belief operated beyond logic, beyond expert opinion, beyond financial analysis. His belief saw millions of families creating magical memories in a place that existed only in his imagination. That vision was so real to him, so necessary, so inevitable, that he couldn't conceive of a world where it didn't exist. Your vision must become this real to you. Not someday real, not maybe real. Real right now, in this moment, more real than your current circumstances. When your future becomes more vivid than your present, when your vision becomes more compelling than your current reality, when your belief becomes stronger than your doubt, transformation becomes automatic. The mind follows focus. What you focus on expands. Where your attention goes, your energy flows. When you consistently focus on your limitations, you strengthen them. When you consistently focus on your possibilities, you energize them. When you focus on your belief with such intensity that doubt has no room to breathe, miracles become commonplace. But focus without action is just daydreaming. Belief without behavior is just wishful thinking. Your convictions must be translated into conduct. Your faith must be demonstrated through your choices. Your belief must be proven through your persistence. Edison didn't just believe in electric light. He acted on that belief through thousands of experiments. Carnegie didn't just believe in American industry, he built the infrastructure to make it possible. Ford didn't just believe in affordable transportation, he revolutionized manufacturing to create it. Their belief was inseparable from their action, their vision inseparable from their work. This integration of belief and action creates what we might call practical faith, faith that expresses itself through intelligent effort, strategic thinking, and relentless execution. It's not enough to believe. You must become the person whose natural behavior aligns with your belief. You must develop the habits, skills, and mindset that make your vision inevitable. This is where most people's beliefs collapse. They want the results of belief without the requirements of belief. They want the destination without the journey. They want the crown without the conquest. But belief demands everything. It demands your old identity, your comfort zone, your excuses, your fears, and your willingness to be misunderstood by those who lack your vision. The price of relentless belief is the death of who you used to be, but the reward is the birth of who you were meant to become. The exchange is not only fair, it's the greatest bargain in the history of human potential. Consider the moment when every great achiever made this exchange. There was a point when Lincoln stopped being simply Abraham and became the Lincoln of history. There was a moment when Edison stopped being just Thomas and became the Edison who lit the world. There was an instant when Disney stopped being merely Walt and became the Disney who created magic. That moment exists for you too. It's the moment when you stop negotiating with your destiny and start demanding it. It's the moment when you stop hoping for your future and start creating it. It's the moment when you stop believing conditionally and start believing relentlessly. This moment requires courage, not the absence of fear, but action in the presence of fear. Every person who has ever achieved anything worthwhile has faced the same choice: remain safe in mediocrity or risk everything for greatness. The choice seems obvious, yet most people choose safety. They choose the known over the unknown, the predictable over the possible, the comfortable over the compelling. But you're different. If you weren't, you wouldn't be here, absorbing these words, feeling this stirring in your soul. You have within you the same force that drove every great achievement in human history. You have access to the same principles that transformed dreamers into legends. You have the same capacity for relentless belief that separated the extraordinary from the ordinary. The question isn't whether you have what it takes. The question is whether you'll use what you have. The power exists within you right now, in this moment, waiting for your decision to unleash it. Your belief, when properly harnessed and relentlessly applied, is the master key that unlocks every door, the universal solvent that dissolves every obstacle, the transformative force that turns the impossible into the inevitable. But belief, like any power, must be cultivated, refined, and strengthened through use. It grows stronger through exercise and weaker through neglect. Every time you choose faith over fear, conviction over comfort, possibility over probability, You strengthen your capacity for relentless belief. Every time you act despite uncertainty, persist despite setbacks, maintain your vision despite opposition, you develop the spiritual muscles that make miracles possible. The cultivation of relentless belief is both an art and a science. It requires the artist's vision to see what doesn't yet exist, and the scientist's discipline to methodically create the conditions for its manifestation. It demands imagination and implementation, inspiration and perspiration, dreams and determination. Start where you are, with what you have, but start with absolute conviction that where you're going is not a destination, but a destiny. Your current circumstances are not your final circumstances unless you believe they are. Your past is not your prison unless you make it one. Your limitations are not your reality unless you accept them as such. The moment you decide to believe relentlessly in your vision, everything changes. Not instantly, but inevitably. The seed of belief, once planted in the fertile soil of absolute conviction and watered with consistent action, must grow. This is not wishful thinking, this is natural law. The universe has no choice but to rearrange itself to accommodate unwavering belief, backed by intelligent action. This is your moment. This is your choice. This is your chance to join the ranks of those who refused to accept the world as it was and insisted on creating the world as it should be. Your relentless belief is not just your path to personal achievement, it's your contribution to human progress. Every time someone believes beyond the boundaries of conventional wisdom, they expand the realm of possibility for everyone. The power of relentless belief is not just the power to change your life, it's the power to change the world. And that power, in all its transformative glory and infinite potential, lives within you right now, waiting for your decision to set it free. The question that will define your destiny is simple. Will you believe relentlessly enough to become the person your vision demands you to be? Your future self is waiting. Your destiny is calling. Your moment is now.